Here's a little history lesson for those of you who've probably forgotten this. The reason that the right to bear arms exists is because back in the day, our founding fathers went and saw what happened when the citizenry was unarmed. Basically, it meant those who had guns could just point them in whoever's face it is and make them do whatever they want. That said, they realized that the populace being armed is kind of a big thing. I mean, the reason that we should go and have the right to bear arms isn't to protect ourselves from wildlife or next door neighbor or anything like that. It's to protect ourselves from the government. I mean that. That's why it exists. And you can say, well, they couldn't have determined the kind of firepower that exists now. And I'm like, think about it. The government is the biggest arms dealer in the country. I'm serious. If you think that whatever legal gun you got is going to go up against tanks and missiles, I got bad news for you. It's not. But what I'm getting at is that even so, the minute that you take away people's right to defend themselves, it's not going to end up good. I mean, take a look at the cities where gun control is the strictest. Well, what do you know? Apparently in these cities, violent crime is rampant. And it makes pretty good sense. I mean, if I'm going to be in a gun-free zone and I'm mentally unhinged to begin with, this is going to be great. Because here it is, I can just shoot whoever the hell I want and nobody can stop me because anyone who gets too close gets their brains blown out. I mean, what are you going to go and do? Try to sneak up on me like a Rambo and for me to spin around, do a 180 and just go boom, headshot. And the thing of it is, I'm not just the people who are mentally unstable to begin with, but once again, if you're some kind of criminal, are you going to go where it's dangerous, where you don't know who's packing heat? Or are you going to go where you know no one's packing anything at all, and you're the only guy in the room with a gun? I mean, it doesn't take a lot to figure it out, but most criminals, they prefer low-risk situations. Well, low risk being comparative, of course. But the point, though, is if you're going to rob someone's house and, it's like there's a angry dog out in someone's front yard. I mean, if you got some large breed of dog and it looks like it's going to chew your damn leg off, you're going to hit a different house. It's just that simple. And so what I'm getting here is the same kind of logic here. If you know that someone is capable of defending themselves, you're not as likely to go and pick a fight. Or you're not as likely to go and rob or do whatever. Now, yes, of course, stuff like this will still happen, armed or not. I'm just saying it's less likely. And the thing of it is, there's this one town in, I think, Texas or somewhere, I don't know where, but it's required by law for the head of the household to carry a firearm at all times. And to be honest, I support it. I'm not kidding. It's like, look, you don't ever want to go and use a firearm unless you have to. And the sad thing of it is, I've actually had an aunt where there was actually a time in her life she had to pull a firearm out. Something bad was going to happen to her. It's just as easy as that. They are terrible people in the world. And as much as I'd like to say that I wish that stuff like this here wasn't necessary, let's be honest. It's kind of like what Ben Franklin, one of our founding fathers, actually said. Those who beat their swords into plowshares will usually end up plowing for those who didn't. This shouldn't be that hard to explain. Again, these people who say they're anti-gun, no, they're not. They just want Big Daddy government to go and have all the guns, and it's like, oh yeah, the government. The very people that we can't trust. Here's an idea. How about we ban the guns from everyone except for those in the mafia or in organized crime? Sounds like a good idea, right? Well, it's not as much different as from what the idea that was being suggested about giving it to only the government. So no, these people aren't anti-guns. And even if they were anti-gun, if they destroyed all of them, hey, that's great! We're at war with how many people now? Do you think they wouldn't go and stop from flaying the hell of this country and just taking it over? I mean, I shouldn't have to explain common sense to people. I mean, I got Asperger's, and even I can go and tell you that, yes, you need to be able to defend yourself. I'm not talking about going out and blowing someone's brains out. I'm talking about being holed up, being forced into a corner, and it's do or die.